The conversation starts. How's it going? And you know the answer, don't you? It's okay. Comme ci, comme ça. You know, another day, another dollar. Anyone ever say, oh my God, today is friggin' amazing. We just paid the monthly MasterCard bill. I'm so excited. And I just can't wait for the Verizon bill to come in. Or you'll never guess how much the groceries were this week. The stuff we bought was incredible. We are able to easily cover the extra 2% increase. You'd think they'd lost their minds. Listening to Your Money, Your Business, the podcast with me, Debbie Colburn. I'm a small business expert and a former professional accountant turned money mindset guide. And I am obsessed with helping you achieve all those things you've dreamed of and thought were out of your reach, with helping you figure this money stuff out. My goal on this podcast is to help you break the cycle of feast or famine with your cash flow and to help you grow your wealth and sustain it over the long term. We dive deep, we get real, and we get raw, discovering and exploring what is really possible for you and letting go of all those things that are holding you back. If you've ever thought it's not enough looking at your bank balance, or think, I'll never get that paid off. When you open up the credit card statement, maybe you're sick and tired of constantly being worried, of just getting by, and you know you're missing out on key opportunities again and again. Or maybe you're done with the constant arguments over money. Then this is absolutely the right place. We'll bring you a whole new way to look at money, profit, cash, wealth, tackle the challenges, share the ideas, the tips and the tactics and the strategies, and get you connected to the right resources. Think of this as your weekly prescription of money mastery development and leave the hard work up to me. No matter what's going on in your life right now, I've got your back. Ready? Buckle up, take a deep breath, and join me in a conversation about breakthrough to the next level. Welcome to episode 115, and today's topic comes from the workplace arena, where employers, the business management, and shareholders are facing off against the employees, the contractors, and the freelancers in the pursuit of autonomy, in the search for a life that enriches everyone, both sides, a win-win. Maybe that state of utopia doesn't exist, but I truly believe it does when you're committed to strive for it and make it an important objective in your life and in your business choices. The struggle to pull employees kicking and screaming back into the office. The struggle to devalue an employee when they aren't using the overhead the company's used to paying for. And the ultimate struggle for control, the master-servant relationship. Who really is running the worker's life? So in this episode, we'll be talking about three major areas: identifying the invisible signs of financial stress, financial anxiety, and financial worry by both sides, ways to help, and the hidden costs of ignoring it. No matter what is going on in the business, no matter the size of the business, its revenue, and its human power, each person, by human nature, has one overriding question whenever there is a change. How does this affect me and my family? You know that, right? Because it happens to all of us. Well, there's been a trend of branding millennials as the all about me generation. The reality is that each of us is and should be all about me. And that's a good and a bad thing. Everything I'm going to talk about in today's episode applies to any size organization, the primary difference being the size of the organization may be a benefit or drawback. The words that someone uses is a clue to their inner financial stress. Think to the place where you might hang out with others at your job, maybe a break room, maybe the local Starbucks, anywhere. The conversation starts. How's it going? And you know the answer, don't you? It's okay. Come see, come saw. You know, another day, another dollar. Anyone ever say, oh my God, today is friggin' amazing. We just paid the monthly MasterCard bill. I'm so excited. And I just can't wait for the Verizon bill to come in. Or you'll never guess how much the groceries were this week. The stuff we bought was incredible. We were able to easily cover the extra 2% increase. You'd think they'd lost their minds. But they could say that stuff, couldn't they? I know. You're shaking your head thinking I'm a total raving lunatic. But I've been there. I've said all those things, even when not much had changed in my financial situation yet. It was uncomfortable at first, felt fake, yet I knew that what came out of my mouth was only a microscopic amount of what I was thinking. The good and the great and the exceptional and the negative, the Debbie Downers, the bad crap. In business, financial worry shows up in unlikely polar opposites. Either it shows up as an obsession with keeping business costs and risks as low as humanly possible, even though there is no incentive on the part of the person doing it. Yes, both sides do this, the workers and the owners, the shareholders. Or they are unhinged, ridiculously frivolous. They treat the business resources like an unlimited wellspring. Why the restrictive obsession? Because if you can't control your money situation personally, then it gives you some semblance of control to be able to do it in the business. Because it's not your bottom line. It doesn't affect what's in your fridge. It doesn't affect what private school your kids can go to. It makes you feel better about yourself. It can even appear to increase your value to the business. And not just an obsession monetarily, but also with time. The employee that you can set your watch by, if that was a thing anymore, you know exactly what time it is by their actions. They are never late. And if in the unlikely case they are, they make up every second by working through breaks and lunch. Why? Because time is leverage the business can use against them to penalize them or fire them or replace them or overuse them or call them out. As a contributor to a business, as an employee, a contractor, or a freelancer, so often it doesn't even occur to you that you've brought your financial baggage, that albatross, to the office or the workplace. As humans, we just think that everyone else thinks and behaves as we do in relation to money, but nothing could be further from the truth. And the bigger the gap, the bigger the disparity and diversity and how people think and relate to money. Each person has an individual money story, a unique relationship with money that primarily comes from their family and environment that they grew up in. It affects your tolerance of inconvenience. I know, that sounds really weird, right? But I remember working with a company on a major mergers and acquisitions contract. And the office that they gave me, while it had a huge window, which I loved, honestly, having a window office, yeah, it was a little bit of a badge of honor, but I cannot remember ever working in an office that didn't have a window. It was part of my contract. I needed to have a window. And that said window also had no insulation ability, so I had a heater under my desk to keep my feet from freezing, and my fingers were almost blue from the cold. But what no one else at the office knew was that at the time, I couldn't actually pay my own personal outstanding oil bill for the furnace. And it's cold, like real cold in Canadian winters. And the oil company wouldn't deliver oil. So every 2 days, I had to take 3 10-gallon cans to the local diesel and fuel oil station and get them filled, and then lug them home in my car and pour them into the oil tank. And oil fuel stinks. Now you might have caught the through line here. I was working to help a company I worked at to be sold to another company, and that likely meant my contract would not be renewed, since what I did, they wouldn't need. Yeah, what about me? Don't I matter? Don't you care about me and my family? I know. I signed the contract, but this is what happens, is your mind goes into this mind spiral about what about me? I was already struggling financially despite making a reasonably good income. I just, at the time, had too much baggage in the form of negative money stories, beliefs and blocks from my family and the recovery from a divorce as a single mom to think clearly. And you or someone in your family might be feeling this way right now. For me, I've always been an example of swinging to the obsession side, which is why I could do such a great job on my contracts as a professional accountant. I was meticulous, creative, but meticulous. Other ways you can possibly identify some telltale signs is by how engaged their family is in both the conversations and things with the business. You know, when they go on picnics or when they get together or stuff like that. It's if they're standoffish, that's a sign. Do they go out to does the employee or your contractor or your freelancer go out to lunch with others on the spur of the moment, or does it always have to be planned? And do they decline a lot? What do they order? Always the cheapest? Always get water, never drink any things? Yeah. And are they overweight? I know this sounds really ridiculous, but are they overweight and almost on a bungee cord to the food but might be in the kitchen? Now we're talking the physical business here. That last cookie, hopefully no one sees me take it. Where they park, is it close or is it a long walk or even a spot where they have to go and move it before the time limit is up? Yes, this is a real thing. I had a boss who made substantially more than I did, who religiously every day, after 3 hours, had to go out and move her car to another location so she wouldn't get a ticket because she wouldn't pay for the parking. Even when people go to meetings or for a lunch, this is a thing. They walk there. And yes, I can say that I have been guilty of that. Are they always complaining about what they make or comparing or commenting on others? Don't get them started on the unfairness of bonuses. So words and actions. This is just a sample, and there are just so many others. I could just go on and on and on and on, and I'd love to get you guys on a Q&A, and you guys can just share with me what are yours. What can you do when you find yourself thinking about your finances or lack thereof when you're supposed to be in work mode? And what can you do as a business owner to unobtrusively assist someone in the business who is struggling, or whom you think might be struggling? Because they're not going to tell you right away. It has to be a safe area. It has to be a conversation. Because financial anxiety quickly and invisibly becomes like a powerful whirlpool, sucking you into its vortex. Having a tool or two available quickly to interrupt the stronghold the thinking has on you is so important. And one of the most powerful, impactful, that it actually can even be done in a meeting, is called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's commonly referred to as tapping. And I've talked about it before in a previous episode, and I will put the link to that episode down in the show notes, so you'll want to grab that. In that episode, I talk a little bit about the fact that I noticed one day, I think we were at a Thanksgiving dinner or something like that, and I noticed my son tapping at the dinner table, and I didn't quite understand what he was tapping to tap out of, but I knew exactly what he was doing. It was something that his paralegal had connected him with. So it's as simple as tapping with your two fingers on a number of pressure points and saying, you sort of repeat the things that are bothering you, and then you follow up with some statements that are better feeling thoughts. That's what's called, EFT is called a pattern interrupter. It's a much kinder way than if you, depending on your age, you remember people would put an elastic on their wrist and they would pull it out and let it snap in. That's also a pattern interrupter. But coming from the dog training world, that is not a positive pattern interrupter, and I try not to use negative pattern interrupters. So the pattern interrupter, it's a calm way to give yourself a reboot. And then I've gone down, and again in the show notes, the show notes are loaded with stuff. I've got some links in there for resources to help you find those things. As a business owner, I'm a firm believer in encouraging the people around you to share their challenges and not to encourage the keeping up with the Joneses mentality. I think, and you've heard me talk about it a little bit, is call it your rich life, your alive life, your dream life, whatever you want to call it. But everybody's is different. So when you go down that comparison rabbit hole, it sucks the life out of you. So try not to do that. And I do apologize if you happen to hear a little bit of a grumbling behind. The neighbor has decided that he's going to run from house to house with his lawn and garden tractor and his basket for picking up grass, and he happens to run. He's got like a whole cup full of it after doing 4 lawns. So that's the noise that you're hearing in the background. I do apologize for that. So joys of not being in my regular office. So recognizing, here's a few things, recognizing contributions to investment and savings accounts, even if it's just the act of discovering a new interesting stock or an investment thing, talking about that type of stuff and not celebrating. You can, but not with the emphasis on celebrating the purchase of a new Tesla with a $75,000 bank loan at 12%. Honestly, there are some people that would celebrate that, and I think that's great. It's as a momentary celebration, but really and truly, I'm about furthering your money, helping you get some sort of financial security, some financial growth. So get rid of that financial anxiety and worry and stress. And as a business owner, as the entrepreneur, it's by example. And when you realize that someone is suffering from financial stress, giving grace is an optimum strategy. Connecting them with resources where they can open up without feeling that it might get back to you, to the boss. That is the worst feeling ever, of being told you have to go to counseling, and knowing that it's a connection of the boss and there's no privacy and so on. So safe is the optimum word, but the reality is one of my missions is to help people get more comfortable talking about money publicly. Because we come from a generation, and it filtered down, and it's still out there, where it's taboo to talk about money. And that is one of our deadly sins. We have got to get over that fear of talking about money so that it's a comfortable talk, so we can educate our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, and we can help change that so that we can build wealthy communities, and when I say wealthy, you've heard my episode on wealthy and rich, but rich and wealthy. But I'm not talking about aspiring to be a mega millionaire or a billionaire. Rich in your own life. And they must be able to participate free of feeling that you owe them something. The master-servant relationship again. When someone who works for you feels indentured, you have just opened up a nasty, toxic Pandora's box. That's the single act can make them feel like their opinions, their ideas, their input no longer matter. It's a tangled web when someone who is already feeling like they're losing their self-worth, that they're letting their family down, that they aren't able to provide for them. Yep, all the money beliefs originating in the family and the environment, all likely not based in truth or reality. Yet when that is how they feel, when they walk out the front door, when they switch their roles from mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, the pulling on of the cloak of, I call this the cloak of disenfranchisement. It's a wickedly big name cloak. It's seamless. Just as easy as Harry Potter slides on his cloak of invisibility or Doctor Strange's cloak floats up to him. Yeah, Marvel's Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange. Can't get enough. And every time, this is a weird scenario, but every time I see that cloak, he puts his hands out and he's got his rings and he's got all that stuff. That just stuff is so cool. But that cloak, that seamlessness, that is literally how money beliefs land on people when they switch roles. As an aside, I absolutely love Doctor Strange and the multiverse because it is a perfect, can't get any more perfect example of parallel universes, possibilities. If I'm not worth anything to my family, then that must also be true at work. A garbage belief. And off they go under the invisible struggle of financial stress, the impending anxiety, and the constant worry about money in search of evidence to prove that belief correct. I know, it's mind-boggling. Yet we as professionals, highly educated, successful business people, can all succumb to it. And you know it's real because financial overwhelm is taking its toll on so many people. It's not just the pandemic. There is only a tiny percentage of people who say that they haven't been under any financial stress. And honestly, I think that tiny is probably more close to infinitesimal when you add the word continual to it. Remember, 60,000 or so thoughts a day, and you think you don't have any? Huh. And I know for sure there are people who have none. But that's the either end of the scale. People know that their personal financial struggles negatively affect their ability to deliver great results in their workplace. 26% or more from the 2022 Schwab study. Now, the link is in the show notes. Now, I'm going to come back to you as the number whisperer right now. That 26% was on a study of 21 to 70-year-olds who worked in companies with more than 25 employees and this is key, and they had active 401k accounts. So if you're in Canada, 401k is the American equivalent to the RRSP, a Registered Retirement Savings Account. It's an employee contributed and employee contributed retirement account. So How about the millions and millions and millions of people who don't have a 401k or any savings of note or investments, or those are fairly low or inconsistent? Yeah, that number of 26%, remember that was 26% of people that recognize that personal financial struggles negatively affect their ability to deliver great results in their workplace. That 26% skyrockets astronomically. In fact, in a recent study of YouGov and YouLife Insurance Agency, Inc., it showed that the number should actually be closer to 70% of U.S. employees. In fact, a whopping 42% of 18 to 35-year-olds acknowledge that it is affecting both their body and their mind health. That's not even considering their work production. So we as business owners, entrepreneurs, and we as employees, contractors, and freelancers can't ignore this. It's up to us to find innovative ways to start the healing and recovery process. The costs are simply just too high. Whether it's fraud, from the office supplies to the many hundreds of millions of dollars lost through shoplifting and scams and fraud schemes, or pink and white collar crimes, whether it's the permeation of toxic and negative attitudes in the workplace and the culture, whether it's half-assed or low-quality deliverables, it affects all of us and our families in this generation and the future generations. Whether it's relationship breakdown, family, partner, business, we all lose. And money conflict, money stress, financial anxiety is the number one reason for relationship breakups. That's staggering. Or whether it's the legacy that neither party is able to curate and build as they so desire. When we are all on the same page, or at least some of the time, helping each other, connecting others to resources that might just be the thing they can hear at that time, giving some of our bandwidth to be compassionate, to hold a space to listen to someone without judgment or overlaying our story on them. We can do this. We can tap it out, meditate it out, exercise it out, and yes, we can talk it out. So this podcast got you thinking you'd like to go a bit deeper on this with me. You want to figure your money thing out? I have got so much more to share with you and to give you. And you're really ready to toss the shroud of money worries into the trash forever, to stand taller and more confidently in every decision and manifest the most profitable and successful year of your life, which means worry-free abundance in life and in business and so much more. Make sure to sign up for my free 4-week course where we're taking a deeper dive into how to transform that money situation in your bank accounts that's keeping you up at night. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All you have to do is just pop over to the link bit.ly/boost-money-EQ and invite a friend to go through with you, even family or maybe coworkers or employees. It's a great way to get a money conversation going. And the more people in your community who are shaking up the scarcity mindset, the more our families and our communities will thrive. Don't be shy or embarrassed. Pass the link on to as many people as you can, because stats show that we never know what's happening in people's lives, especially when it comes to money. I cannot wait to see you inside. And yep, regardless if you sign up for TBN or not, this course is absolutely free. No strings attached. So much value handpicked for you inside it. You're for sure going to experience a transformation in a very short time. Come on, join us and have some fun. bit.ly, bit.ly/boost-money-EQ. Super excited, and I will see you there.